It raises operational costs. Carriers are flagging higher fuel costs, insurance and disruption-related expenses as well. Remember, we're not just seeing maritime disruptions, we're also seeing the airline disruptions. And according to sources to CNBC TV 18, airlines are now seeking government relief as this conflict further intensifies. Its raised operational costs. Carriers are flagging higher fuel, insurance and disruption-related expenses. For more on this, we have Shivani Bajaj with us. Thank you so much for joining me on the broadcast. Break this down for our viewers, please.
Well, yes, you're right. Airlines in India are now seeking government support as the financial impact of the West Asia conflict begins to mount on them. According to sources, airline executives have met Civil Aviation Minister Ram Mohan Naidu to flag rising operational costs and disruptions to flight operations. Carriers have requested relief measures, including a reduction in excise duty or GST on aviation turbine fuel, which is ATF, which accounts for a significant share of airline operating costs. Now, airlines say that the conflict has led to fewer flights and operational inefficiencies on Gulf routes, which is a big part of the Indian Airlines, routes to Europe as well. In many cases, flights from India to West Asia are operating with very low passenger loads because of the crisis in the West Asian zone, or even flying empty on one leg, pushing up the cost per flight. Adding to the pressure are war risk insurance premiums for flight operating near to the conflict zone. They have also increased, further inflating operations and expenses for airlines. Now, the financial strain comes amid continued disruptions, as you were speaking about, to aviation routes, following the escalation of tensions in West Asia. Airspace restrictions across parts of the region forced airlines globally to cancel and reroute flights, while Indian carriers have been particularly affected due to the reliance on the West Asian corridor for westbound flights. Remember that Pakistan's airspace is also closed for Indian Airlines. That is adding to the pressures, the cost pressures in this case. So the government data shows that inbound flights from region have dropped sharply in the early days of the crisis, and airlines have warned that even as flight schedules stabilize, the cost pressures from the higher fuel consumption, insurance premiums and operational disruptions are likely to persist unless conditions in the region improve. Back to you.
Absolutely. Now, Shivani, of course, that being said, when we talk about the sustained pressure that the airlines are facing as well, what sort of support can we see? What sort of support is likely from the government? And also, how do you assess the impact of such sustained pressure going forward, given that things don't ease anytime soon?
Yeah, so while the airlines have suggested that there should be an excise duty cut or a GST cut on the fuel, which has seen a 5,000 to 6,000 rupees hike from where it was around 9,000 per barrel before the crisis began on the 28th of February. This is what the airlines have suggested. Government right now has not taken any decision on whether or not this is feasible for the government to do. In terms of what can be the impact, the clear impact right now in the near term can actually come on the airline tickets. The prices of the tickets we are already seeing have skyrocketed when it specifically comes to Gulf to India flights, and even on longer routes, because the airlines have to take longer routes and bypass Pakistan's airspace and bypass a lot of the other airspace in Middle East, which are actually shut for all the airlines. So that mounting pressure is clearly going to reflect on the air prices, flight prices when it comes to Europe, when it comes to North America and longer routes from India.
All right. Well, Shivani, thank you so much for giving us a better sense of what we're really looking at here. Also, of course, we continue to bring you all the updates from our newsroom, where all these developments are being closely monitored and tracked for you. When we talk about the airline disruptions that we're seeing right now, we're given to understand that airlines are seeking government intervention at the moment. This is because of fewer flights and higher operational costs that we're looking at as a result of the conflict in West Asia. Siddhant here has been tracking all the developments on that front as well. Siddhant, what can you tell us?
Well, that's right. So the Indian government is in touch with the big Indian airliners. In fact, last week there was this meeting which took place between Indian government officials and Indian as well as airliners from UAE and other Gulf countries, perhaps to coordinate, facilitate the return of the stranded Indians. More than 52,000 1,000 Indians have been brought back to the country in last 1 week. But now there is this new problem, this new challenge which is emerging because of the price of gas going up. Then there are other issues as well. So now CNBC TV18 is reporting that the airlines seek government relief as West Asia conflict raises operations cost, carrier flag higher fuel, insurance, and disruption-related expenses. Now, this is what sources are telling Shivani Bazaz of CNBC. In fact, they say that airlines meet civil aviation minister to flag financial strain from regional conflict because many flights are getting cancelled, many flights are getting diverted. In fact, carriers seek relief on excise duty or GST to offset rising operational costs. So they want some kind of a relief in duties also to keep the operations on. Then airlines say fewer flights and disruptions are pushing up expenses. Many of the flights are getting cancelled. Many of them are being diverted. In fact, it is also being mentioned that a flight from India to West Asia often operating empty on one leg. So one way empty flight is going in, and the other way there are passengers on the flight. So airlines has to bear the cost.
That's also the low passenger load that we are seeing right now.